The recession isn't over. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee and let's have a look at this analysis by business reporter Gareth Hutchins from ABC News. So he's talking about media outlets saying the recession caused by the pandemic is over, but they're wrong. And, well, yeah, the ABS, one of the deputy governors from the Reserve Bank, Guy Debelle, has suggested that the recession may be over. Now, if we jump over to trading economics, I'm going to bring up an indicator for Australia, our GDP. We see here our annual GDP growth rate, 7%. So these are the 2 quarters here that we've been hit with negative growth. Now, we may get a little increase here, which is understandable when you've had such a crash. But think about it. How much of that increase would be fueled by government stimulus, which is just future taxation, spending, spent now. So let's check this out. The recession hasn't ended. Forget the excitable headlines. Why are we talking about this? Because Deputy Governor of the Reserve Bank of Australia, Guy Debelle, told a Senate estimates hearing yesterday that Australia's economy may have grown a little in the September quarter. It was certainly good news, but that's as far as he went. He didn't say the recession was over. He didn't say anything close to that. Technically, the recession may be over. Technically, but then it'll just keep going down if times get tough. National Senator Bridget McKenzie asked him how he thought Victoria's economy was tracking, given the state's extended lockdown in recent months. Dr. Debelle said the RBA was releasing some new quarterly forecast next Friday, and those would have more details, but his best guess was Victoria's economy performed a bit better than expected over July, August and September, despite the lockdowns, and the rest of the national economy grew a bit more than expected. He said that meant Australia's economy likely grew a little in the September quarter, and that was it. So why are we seeing headlines claiming the recession is over? Because economists use a range of definitions to pinpoint a recession, and one definition says if your economy experiences 2 consecutive quarters of shrinking activity, then it's in recession. And that's what we've had this year. In the March quarter, the economy shrank by 0.3. In June, it shrank by a massive 7%. That means for the first 6 months of 2020, our economy contracted by 7.3%. It's a depressingly large number. It will take years to recover from the damage. Do you really think the recession's over just because the economy grew a little bit in September? Economists know better than that. A confusing definition of recession. The definition of a recession as being 2 consecutive quarters of contracting GDP is useful for telling us when a recession has begun. It can also indicate when an economy has started recovering, but it's not good at telling us of when a recession has ended. I'd suggest unemployment rate. When you see a steady and continuous decline in unemployment, that'd probably be the best definition of one, at least for people on the ground. An economist at Matt Cowgill from Grattan Institute pointed out yesterday, it makes little sense to say a recession has ended just because a devastated economy has recorded some growth. On this metric, the 90s recession ended in September 91, when the unemployment rate was 10% and rising, on its way to a peak of 11.2% over a year later, he tweeted. Mr. Cowgill's point was that recessions, once they begin, can build up negative momentum that takes years to arrest, with more damage occurring long after economic activity has started recovering. Exactly. And this is when I was referring to the vacancy rates in offices back in the recession Australia had to have. You could see that it was for a few years it kept going up. So more businesses were reducing their footprint or getting in trouble. And remember, we've got so much government support. All these ag props holding up our sagging economy slab that's slowly starting to slip. To pinpoint when the recession has ended for Australian households, we'll have to see far more people working normal hours again, and the unemployment rate will have to be much lower. That's exactly right. I agree with that 100%. Because underemployment is a big issue and it's going to get bigger. So currently there are still 930,000 Australians considered officially unemployed. And then what about the large numbers that are just leaving the workforce, that are giving up too? That's another consideration. The official unemployment rate is 6.9% and it's expected to keep rising. The official underemployment rate is at 11.4%. And that's the ABS figures. Roy Morgan, it's a little higher than that. In reality, the number of people who aren't working or who are working but would prefer to be working more are in the millions. Well, let us know in the comments, guys. Are you underemployed right now? Or would you like to find work? I'll just fix my collar here. Maybe that would help me find more work. Would you like to find more work and can't find it? What's it like out there in the game right now? I know for us, we had a project that was meant to go into the next phase, and well, it's kind of gotten quiet. And our contact at a client that was fed us a lot of work this year, well, he's been let go. So, you know, there's a sign, isn't it? That's how things can happen. We'll be okay. We'll be fine. But I can tell you I'm happy that I reduced the expenses of my business over the last few years and had a much more carefree lifestyle. I'd hate to be in one of these businesses like the art and craft place. That's the most recent example we had, where they're just taking on JobKeeper, trying to keep people employed, trying to do the right thing, and then you got to liquidate anyway. Is that worth? Remember, all of these support mechanisms that the government's giving out, that's future taxation from all of us. So this would be like you investing thousands of dollars in a company that's gone bankrupt, like buying Hertz. That's what the government is doing with this JobKeeper sometimes. Just keep that in mind. Under current policy settings, it's going to take years to mop up the damage, especially if the federal government winds up its stimulus measures prematurely. We're going to see more and more calls for fiscal stimulus, everyone. I know this is the ABC, but I mean, this is the strategy of the interventionist school of economics. They're going to call for more stimulus. That's the whole point. This is why you'll never see, I don't think in our living memory, we'll see any move away from a fiat currency system. If anything, we'll go digital, so there'll be more ability to control and fine-tune the economy. It's not out of the question that Australia's economy could record more episodes of negative growth in coming years. In this month's federal budget, Treasury conceded it could take about 5 years for the unemployment rate to fall to 5% and the inflation to rise to 2.5% and remain there. This means Treasury officially thinks it will take years for the economy to recover. Okay, so based on the RBA predicting, they're not going to increase rates until we head to that, do you think we may get negative rates? And that's all while the federal government is planning to deliver many more years of budget deficits to fill the shortfall in private economic activity. The RBA is meeting next week to discuss what to do with interest rates, and some economists think it could cut the cash rate again from a record low 0.25% to somewhere around 0.1. Let's jump and have a look today at the ASX interest rate predictions. There we go. We've got the rate tracker. And on the 28th of October, which is yesterday, it hasn't updated, still sitting at 84% chance of a decrease to 0.00%. Let me know in the comments, guys. Can we bet on this? Can you like go to Tab or something and put $50 on interest rate card? That'd have to be. Let me know if you found it. I haven't looked. RBA Governor Philip Lowe has already gone on the record to say interest rates probably won't rise for 3 or 4 years. Does this sound like the recession is over? Yeah, mate. Garrett's right there. That's the question right there. Not in a million years. Even if we get more good news from the RBA next week, it's going to take a long time before the RBA and Treasury officials claim any sort of victory. And remember this, for the last 7 years, economists have been trying to figure out why advanced economies have been stuck in a low-growth, low-interest rate, high-debt trap since the GFC, which officially began in 2007. Many advanced economies have never truly recovered from the GFC. Well, perhaps they need to learn a little bit about business cycles and the Austrian School of Economics. Yeah, perhaps. Just a suggestion. What do you all think, everyone? Do you think the recession's over? Or is it really just the beginning? As always, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and want to support the content I create here, there are a few ways you can. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. You can support us using our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Kucoin. You can buy merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time.